Day 51, becoming Christopher Cruz, Thanksgiving night. Well, that sucked. I went and hung out with my mom and dad, and here's the deal. My parents were amazing when I was a kid, but they also struggled with some alcohol and other addictions, and they both have tempers. And when I was a kid, I grew up with this, and I remember some pretty fucked up shit, like my dad pushing my mom down the stairs, my mom breaking my dad's nose, and him walking out of the kitchen with blood covered everywhere when I was like 5, and my mom driving through the front yard trying to run him over in the car. Just like so many fucked up situations. But when they weren't drinking, they were amazing and loving, but they've both put each other through so much shit. It's unreal. I don't know how they even talk to each other still. But they're a lot better than they used to be, but just depending on the day, it's so easy for them to just snap at each other. And as soon as that happens, I can feel it. It's like a survival instinct inside of me. I can feel when there's tension. I can feel when my dad gives my mom a look, or my mom says something in a certain way. I can feel it because I grew up with it my whole life. And when I was a little kid, I had to be constantly watching. Is dad mad? Is mom mad? Is this going to be okay? Because I was terrified. And so I had to look for how they looked at each other, how they talked to each other. And so I just became like a fucking master at seeing when shit's going to hit the fan. And so tonight I could just feel it building up. I could just feel just the comments, the tone of voice, all that shit. And then finally it came to a head, and I called them out, and they didn't like it, but I called them out, and because I'm sick of it. Fuck, they're adults, and they're still doing this shit. They're still getting pissed off at each other. They're still being passive aggressive, and it's I don't give a shit if you guys do it when you're with each other, but don't do it around me anymore. I grew up with this shit. It fucked me up in so many ways, and so I have to read all these fucking books and shit and take all these courses because I have to get over my fucking childhood. It was a really tough childhood. And the problem is, as soon as I feel them snap or that tension, I get this pit of anxiety and fear and stress. And I'm just incredibly uncomfortable. I go back to being that 6-year-old scared little kid, because they used to get in fist fights. And I would do everything I could to try to stop them from killing each other or hurting each other or fighting or yelling. And it was just, and so it's I get thrown right back into that. And they both have such crazy tempers. It's insane. They can go from 0 to 60 in a split second. And that happened tonight. And I finally stood up for myself. I'm fucking proud because I stood up for myself. And I don't care if it pissed them off, because I'm sick of it. They're twice my age. They are adults. They need to figure this shit out. Read a fucking book. Have an adult conversation with each other. I don't know, but don't involve me, because I'm always in the middle of it. I've always been in the middle of it. Always. My entire life. And I'm just sick of it. I cannot be around that, especially with my parents. I've been the mediator my entire life. I've been the fucking referee my entire life. I've been the fight breaker upper my entire life. And it's they're both still 25-year-old kids that are still pissed off at each other. And it's fuck. Okay, great, but figure it out. So, anyway, it was a horrible ending to a pretty good day. But I believe it's happening for a reason. And I'm just not going to be around it. I got to love myself and care about myself enough to not be around it, so I walked out. Normally, I would sit there and try to calm everyone down and be the mediator like I've done my entire life. But that's because they were more important to me than I was to myself. I didn't love myself enough to say, hey, I don't deserve to be in this situation. This has literally nothing to do with me. But tonight I finally fucking did, and I stood up for myself, and I'm really proud. And if they're hurt too fucking bad, journal about it. Read a book. Like, you guys have all this fucking free time. Work on yourselves. So, I'm proud of myself. Because I'm just done with that shit. I don't care if you're my mom or my dad. Like, if you're going to be like that around me, you just won't be in my life, period. I've got too big of a life to live. I have to have people in my life that are willing to take responsibility for themselves. They're willing to take responsibility for their emotions, their actions. And I'm just not going to be around that. And it sucks because I love them. Like, they're my fucking parents. And they're such good people deep down inside, but they have hurt each other in so many ways it's unreal. Like, I genuinely don't know how they even can be in the same room together. Because they haven't apologized for the past. They haven't cleaned up the past. They still have all these old wounds from the past, and it comes out really clearly. And they both have so much anger deep down inside. And they're like a ticking time bomb. And as soon as you light that fuse, it's fucking over. Well, tonight, it lit my fucking fuse, and I yelled back just as hard. Like, fuck that. I'm sick of being walked all over. I'm sick of being at the bottom of the totem pole. I'm sick of everyone putting their emotions and how they feel and what they think above me. And it's my own fucking fault. Because I've allowed it to happen my entire life. I've made it like how you feel is more important than how I feel. So, I'm done with that shit. So I love them, and they need to fucking grow up and take care of their shit. And I get it. It's a different generation. Like, it sucks because they didn't grow up with personal development. Like, I'm so lucky to be a millennial and grow up when I am, because personal development is a thing for us. We actually have tools of how to deal with our anger and our stress and our anxiety and our resentment. Like, we have tools. My parents have tools too. They're just not used to using them. That's not what you do. But it's like, I've tried to get them to read so many books and do so many different things, and they're just so resistant to it. And this is the result. You can't control your fucking emotions, and you lose your shit, and you've got a lot of pain inside that you haven't expressed, and there's a lot of lying and deceit, and anyway, I'm just glad I'm fucking out of it. And I'm freezing my fucking ass off because it's snowing a little bit, and I'm walking around in shorts and flip-flops like a fucking crazy person. Anyway. See, doing these videos lets me get all this shit out, because if I didn't do these videos, all this stuff would stay inside, and that's poison. Like, this shit is poison, and I'm not willing to keep it inside of me anymore. I'm not willing to hold this shit in. And I was debating on whether or not I should do this video because of my mom. My mom or dad saw it. They might be offended or think like, oh, how could you say that? People are going to think this about me and that. But it's like, fuck that. This isn't about you anymore. This is about my fucking life. So, and it's time for me to stand up to myself. Stand up for myself to everyone. So, that's it. That's it. I just deserve better. So, I hope they figure it out. I figured it out for myself, so I hope they figure it out for themselves. Happy Thanksgiving.